Well, that game against Carolina just plain sucked. Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and the Blackhawks lost a game. They were doing so many good things lately, giving us so many good feelings, and then they gave us that effort on Friday. And I don't even really know what to call it other than frustrating. It's not like we can complain about losing to the Carolina Hurricanes. They are the better team. It's not the loss that's frustrating. It is the way that they lost this game. The same things that have been plaguing them all season, the same things that have been plaguing them for years, came back to bite them in this one too. The top thing being is they cannot clear the puck out of their zone if their lives actually depended on it. I don't know how many of Carolina's goals directly resulted from the Blackhawks turning over the puck in their defensive zone. I would have to go back and rewatch the game, and I just really don't hate myself enough to do that. But I know it was more than one. And there were 2 goals that went directly off of our defensemen and into the net. That is another thing that has plagued this team for a long time, and it seems like it happens more to them than to other teams. Maybe I'm wrong. I certainly don't watch every team in this league as closely as I do the Hawks, but it seems like there are so many times in each season where we are just frustrated because the goaltender should have had the save or they were in the right position, and the puck just goes in off of our defensemen, whether it's off their feet or whether they batted in with their hand like DeHaan did in this one. Speaking of, he was very bad, and he has been very bad all season. It pains me to say it because I really like Calvin DeHaan. I've been a fan of his since he was with the Islanders, but oh my goodness, he needs to be stapled to the press box and left there for a while. There are a lot of defensemen on our team that make mistakes, but it seems like every time he makes a mistake, it ends up in the back of the net. I don't know what the correlation is there, if he's just doing it in the worst spots possible, or if it's because he's slower and can't get back to cover his mistakes. But he is just beyond noticeable out there, and not for good reasons. So that's another big reason why this game was so frustrating, is it seemed like he turned the puck over at least 20 times in the defensive zone. And then aside from that, there were just stupid penalties. This team was just completely out of whack. They went into the first intermission down only 1-0. Not a huge deal. Easy to come back from that. It's only 1 goal. They got another scored on them in the second, and against Carolina, you're like, uh-oh, down 2-0? That's not good. But late period heroics from Patrick Kane, who else? He gets a Patrick Kane goal. Spinorama backhand. James Reimer probably should have had it, but it snuck through him. And once again, Patrick Kane hits all the highlight reels. Aside from Lankinen, Patrick Kane was the only player to show up in this game. Despite how terrible this game was, you really can't come out of it saying that Kane looked bad. He did everything he possibly could to put this team on his back and try to carry them to at least a point. It was a great game from number 88. The rest of the team, not so great. Ian Mitchell did get his 2nd goal of the season. That came pretty much immediately following Patrick Kane's wild backhander, and Kane got the assist on it because of course he did. Kane figured in every single goal that was scored by the Blackhawks that night. They got another one in the 3rd period as the period was winding down. It's credited to Carl Soderberg. He was in front of the net and tipped it while on the power play, but it was all set up by Kane. Thankfully, nothing weird happened, and he did get an assist for that. But you could tell that he came to play. He wanted to get this team somewhere, even just to overtime. And I've criticized Patrick Kane a lot this year. He did not start the season well at all. But as of late, he's been pretty darn good out there. And especially in Friday night's game against Carolina. It was basically the Patrick Kane show that nobody else bothered showing up to. Again, except the goaltender. Kevin Lankinen was great again. Anywho, let's go over my 3 questions from Friday night's game against Carolina. Question number 1. Can they get the power play back on track? Now, I did just say that Carl Soderberg scored a power play goal, but that was the only one. The Blackhawks went 1 for 4 on the power play once again. That seems to be a very common number for them lately. And it didn't look great in the first 3. And with Andrew Shaw out, Ryan Carpenter took his place on the first power play unit. After reading some reasonings behind it, I sort of came around more to the idea than I did when I first just saw him out there, but I would like to see Brandon Hagel given a shot there instead. I know, surprise, surprise. Hear me out. They need somebody on that first unit who can retrieve pucks. That's what Andrew Shaw was there for, and that's what Carpenter is there for now. Somebody who can get to the dirty areas and get the puck to the more skilled players. What has Brandon Hagel been doing all season if not fighting for every inch of ice and drawing penalties? I'm sure if they put him out there on the first power play unit, we would probably end up with a lot more 5-on-3s than we've had. So I understand why Ryan Carpenter was out there. I still don't agree with it. I would like to see Brandon Hagel there, but that's just something I'm gonna have to live with because I'm not the coach. I really question some of their coaching decisions sometimes though. Like still barely using the second power play unit. They had some glorious chances in this one. None of them went in, and they were only given those chances in a short amount of time because power play unit number 1 was out there for the majority of it. I'm not even gonna get started on that whole rant because I will just go off on it forever and ever and ever. Amen. Question number 2. Will they take the positivity from the first 2 away games and apply that to the rest of the road trip? They didn't on Friday. The only positives in that game were Patrick Kane and Kevin Lankinen with maybe a little dash of Ian Mitchell getting a goal. It was a really nice shot. Other than that, no positivity. So moving forward into the series against Columbus, I hope they leave this game far behind them and go back to the good things they were doing against Detroit. Granted, I know it's against Detroit and these teams are a lot more difficult to play against, but you can still take the good habits that you were forming and build on them. You can do good things against any team, they just might not always be as effective as they are against the Detroit Red Wings. Question number 3. Will Kevin start a point streak? No, he didn't. And I had to laugh when I saw this written down on my sheet of paper today because I was in a good mood after the last game and I just threw a funsy question in there, and I was definitely not in a good mood after this game on Friday. Like I said at the beginning, it's not losing to the Carolina Hurricanes that is frustrating. Of course, you never like losing, but it makes sense. Carolina came into this game with a record of 10-3-1, while the Blackhawks were at 9-5-4. A little bit of a difference. It's just the way they lost it. It was needless errors, it was sloppy play, it was not protecting the puck. Basically everything you tell a team not to do, that's what they did. And we've seen better from them lately. That's what makes it the most frustrating. If they had played this game after, say, the first 4 games of the season where they went down to Florida and got demolished, sure, it would make sense. Because that was just the theme of the season, making mindless errors and being bad at hockey. But after that last stretch where they went 7-1-1, and then they come out and give an effort like this, frustrating. They can't be good every night. I know, I've been watching hockey long enough to know that that is not possible. Even the best teams in the league have a bad game, and this team is clearly not the best team in the league. But it is still just beyond frustrating to watch. You always want your team to win. Even if they don't win, you want them to at least look competitive so you can maybe bank some sort of hope just in your soul. But this game was rough, and Calvin DeHaan's game in particular was rough. I don't necessarily enjoy just picking on one guy. Maybe that comes as a surprise, maybe it doesn't. But he was just the standout bad player of this game. And players are going to go through bad stretches. That totally happens, and it's basically to be expected over a season. But the thing is he's not going to get scratched. He's going to keep playing night in and night out. At practice this morning, we saw with Connor Murphy coming back from his injury, thankfully, that Beaudin was the odd man out because Calvin DeHaan was in the main lineup. Just tell me if you see something wrong with that. But anyway, this game is over, thank goodness. And if I dwell on it for too much longer, it's just going to upset me all over again the same way it did watching it live. So let's move on to Tuesday night's game in Columbus facing the Blue Jackets. Again, I feel like we've just played them every other day this season. Maybe it's because I'm not used to seeing the Blackhawks play them as much since they left the Central Division a few years ago, but it just seems like we're seeing them all the time and I'm getting a little tired of them. Anyway, here's my 3 questions for Tuesday night. Question 1, will a skater other than Patrick Kane show up to play? The question really speaks for itself. If I was to put a bet down on this one, I would say probably. And I don't know if that's just hopeful thinking because I don't want to see another game like the one we just watched. But it seems like after a poor effort this year, at least somebody else in the lineup does stand up. So hopefully that happens again. It would be a very great game for Brandon Hagel to get his first goal. I still can't believe that has not happened yet. Question 2. Will they get through this game without the puck going into their own net off of one of their own players? Please! Hockey is a game of bounces, it's a game of luck, and sometimes that luck is just against you, but I really hate, and I think all hockey fans, no matter your team, will agree with me on this, I really hate seeing the puck go in our own net when it bounces off one of our own players. It's just an extra stab to the heart. It's already a goal against your team. And more often than not, it wouldn't have gone in if it didn't hit your own guy. That plain sucks. Question 3. Will Carl Soderberg see more power play time? I talked about Ryan Carpenter being on the first unit. I wouldn't be upset with Carl Soderberg taking that spot away from him. I did say I want to see Brandon Hagel there, but it seems like they're not going to do that. So I would like to see Carl Soderberg do it. It was very effective. They scored pretty much right away because Soderberg went to the front of the net, made life hard for the goaltender, and the puck went in. He's also responsible with the puck, so if they end up having a bad power play like they do very often and the puck goes the other way toward our goaltender, he could maybe help the goaltender out and stop the chance for the other team, or at least do a better job of it than some of the other guys out there. He's a big dude, he's got some offense in him. I would like to see him get a shot. What can you really mess up about that first power play unit at this point? So those are my 3 questions for Tuesday night's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Do you have any thoughts about that game against Carolina? Do you have any questions about the game against the Blue Jackets? I would love to read them. Please leave them in the comments down below. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head over to FromCenterIce.com, catch up with the latest podcast episodes, see game previews for the Blackhawks, game recaps for the Ice Hogs, and all sorts of fun stuff. If you're a social media person, you can find all of those links in the description down below. Go follow us on all of the things. And while you're here, if you're not subscribed yet, you might as well do it. Stay up to date with all the Blackhawks and Ice Hogs games, and if you don't feel like watching them, I'll watch them for you. All of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it, and I will catch you all after the next game. Bye, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please hit that subscribe button to catch more From Center Ice content. If you could, hit the like button on this video, maybe share it with a friend or two. And while you're here, check out the podcast playlist and catch up on some old episodes. We will catch y'all next time. Bye!